Boom! I'm back. Fresh off the press conference here for the corona, the China virus. So, like I said, trying to pump out some content every day during the China virus here. We're locked up here at home. I think I explained my wife is on chemo, so we need to take all precautions. Happy birthday to my wife today. What a boring day to have a birthday. I think the best we're going to do is Shamrock Shakes through the drive-through. But another presser, like I said, got that out of the way. We'll pump out the content. Sorry I didn't get one out yesterday. The stock market just too crazy this week. Had too much to do. But we're gonna keep rolling here through the weekend. So got a few things to go over today, and I'm gonna keep everybody sane here through the corona. So rest in peace, Kenny Rogers. Jeez, only 82. Kind of surprised me a little bit. And obviously he has some ties to racing with Six Pack. I think that might be our date night deal tonight. Six Pack, if any of you can comment back. I know we're live on Periscope and we're not live everywhere, but comment back on where I can find that movie. If it's Netflix or if it's Amazon Prime, if if any of you have seen it out there. So I want to get that going for the wife. That sounds like the plan. So yeah, so anyway, happy Saturday, everybody. Spring is here. Days are getting, now we got more daylight, then darkness all the way until September 21st. Going to talk a little racing. We're going to talk, speaking of Kenny Rogers, made me think about movies and star power and Hollywood and many promoters and many people like to talk about comparing racing to the movies, which I think is an asinine comparison. I don't like it at all, but a lot of promoters say, well, it costs this to go to a movie and I get this for a family in here. And I think it's completely asinine. I'm going to explain it to you right here, right now. So first off is the personalities. Racing doesn't have a lot of personalities per se. On the national level, a little bit more. Donnie Schatz, pretty boring guy. Billy Moyer, pretty boring guy. Scott Bloomquist, a lot to like. Promoter's dream. Great interview. Always leaves a little bit to be desired. Doesn't answer all the questions. Misdirects people a lot. When he's talking about the aerodynamic package on his car, that was probably something he was working on 3 years ago. He's not telling you what he's working on now, in my opinion. I don't know this for sure. But he's always seeming to redirect. It's just a great interview. Most racers are kind of introverted, right? What are they doing during the week? They're under the hood. They're under their cars. They're in their shop. They're in the garage. They're not out at acting class. They're not out giving interviews. When someone in Hollywood, when the camera flips on, they know what to do. A racer, not so much. They've been in the garage. They're quiet. They're grunting to their one pitman that's there with them, having a few beers, smoking a few cigarettes, having a chew. That's what we got, right? So I don't like, how the personalities are you can't even compare it. And the exposure of the personalities. Look at like People Magazine or Us Weekly or US Weekly, whatever it's called, the gossip magazines. Most people don't know this, but let's use Tom Hanks or Kenny Rogers. Well, Kenny's no longer with us. Let's use Tom Hanks because we're talking about the corona, the China virus. So he, if People Magazine is going to interview him, they pay him for that interview. Okay? He gets paid to the interview. And then what happens? He gets put on the cover, and they put up in the newsstand. When you're in Walmart in the aisle, there it is. When you're at your local convenience store, it's right there it is. So think of all that exposure Hollywood gets versus racers. When's the last time you saw a racing magazine at Walmart or at some major chain, Kroger's or something like that? They're just not there. Costco, they're not there. Okay, so the personalities you can't, you just, like I said, you can't, the star power, you can't, you just can't compare. Cost, we can get into the cost a little bit. I just looked up the average movie in 2019 cost $9.26. Okay, what does an adult cost at the races on a regular night? $10, $12, $15 range-ish, I would say. Kids get in free, so that's good for a family of four. You're probably getting in for around the same price. But now you got no star power, typically, especially at the local level. If you know Bill or Dan or Leanne that race, well, that's different. You're going there kind of to watch them, okay? But if you don't know anyone, you're missing that brand. These stars are already branded. If you're going to watch a Tom Hanks movie, you kind of know a little bit about Tom Hanks in advance. You already have an impression of him, okay? Where, the casual race fan walks in, doesn't know anyone. How are they going to get to know this person on a little bit of a personal level, that isn't important for everyone. That's not important to me as a race fan. It never was. But for some people it is. And especially in this connected world where everyone has an opinion about everybody and it's so easy to look up their profile and who is this person. It matters to millennials. Okay, I guess is what I'm saying. So the cost thing, 2.5 hours of entertainment in a movie, 2.5 hours for $9.26. Races 3, 4, 4.5, maybe even 5 hours long. Too long in my opinion, but I guess if someone's trying to get their money's worth, maybe they can do a deep cost analysis and make it worth it that way. In my opinion, races are too long. 3 hours max. Shut that thing down. But the specials, when you got the personalities in town, like a Brad Sweet or a Rico or a Kyle Larson's got some personality. Like I said, Bloomquist got some personality. T-Max got some personality. You get somebody like that in there, it's not $10, $12, $15. Now it's $20, $25, okay? So you're paying star power price, but yet the movie that really has star power is still only $9.26. So you see, you see why I just don't like the comparison. Now, where tracks need to kind of capitalize on promoters and fairgrounds and fair boards and etc. is typically, if you run a racetrack, you're kind of the only game, let's say dirt track in a 4-hour range or so, maybe on a night, or 2.5 hours, whatever it is. You have to take advantage of that. Because like with a movie, if you want to watch a Tom Hanks movie, I think the last one they had out in theaters was Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. So you could have went to Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, or whatever the heck the movie was called. He played Mr. Rogers. Or you could have stayed home, jumped on Netflix or YouTube or Stars or HBO and watched maybe an old Netflix movie and consumed him that way, like Castaway, which is like 20 years old. Wilson. So where tracks, like I said, you are a little bit more exclusive, and you have to figure out a way to capitalize on that exclusivity, because you've kind of got a little range there. But like I said, movies, there's so much of that kind of content these days, right? You get it anywhere. You get it on your phone, you get it on your iPad, you get it on your laptop, you get it on your television. It's just everywhere, where racing isn't. So you got to kind of figure out a way to take advantage of that. Distribution and money, obviously, is a big part of movies because there's only a few studios that distribute most of the movies. It's changing a little bit now with Netflix. People are just kind of going direct, and even Netflix has their own studio. Amazon Prime, Amazon's got their own studio. But, like Disney still controls. I think Disney had like 5 of the top 10 movies in 2019. So they still control a lot of the content that you're seeing in a movie theater. And of course, there's only a few of those kind of studios, MGM, Paramount, so Viacom. So of course, they got mega bucks, right? Where on the promoter side, like I said, they're all scattered. You have whatever. Let's pick a number. You have 20,000 movie theaters in the country. 5 studios are controlling most of the content in there. If you have 1,000 racetracks across the country, it's all separate. I own this, and so you're not pooling the money to pay a driver $250,000 to make like a circuit. You just can't afford it because it's mom and pop versus big distribution. So I don't know how you get over that. That's the money issue that racing's always had. Big sponsors have eluded us, and that's part of the reason because it's so segregated versus just a few studios that are kind of controlling things. Like what Vince McMahon did with the WWE when he bought everything up after his father died. It was very segregated. He consolidated it. Okay, now we're WWE across Canada and the U.S. This is the premier entity for wrestling, and of course there's still, there's little local ones that go to local armories, but people kind of forget that. There's still a lot of wrestling out there, but the WWE far above and beyond, and that's because centralized distribution of the talent collected a lot of money. So that's kind of my thought for you today on the races and movies comparison. Like I said, I've never really liked it. So with that, I think I'm going to sign off. And we'll talk a little bit more tomorrow. I got some stuff here. I'm looking at some notes. We're getting ready for the podcast for the One to Go show. For all of you that are into podcasting, you can check that out. I've got some notes, and I think I'll save the rest for tomorrow because, like I said, I want to pump something out every day. So we will catch you all on the flip side. Like I said, everyone stay quarantined, stay in. We want to catch you on, like I said, on the flip side of all this chaos and BS. So take care, everyone. Have a good Saturday.